Hey, this is Annie Veblen McCarty, and I'm going to teach you how to be effortlessly productive. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, and I got sick and tired of experts preaching what business and life should look like and what I should be doing as a leader and to turn a profit, only to find myself wasting time, burned out, feeling inauthentic, and still not making any money. On this show, we are ditching the shoulds. I'm giving you permission to do business differently. As a certified master coach, I believe that everything you need to have success and build the life and business of your dreams is already living on the inside. I'm going to empower you to lean into what you do best, help you see your path forward clearly, and give you the strategy and action steps along the way to become effortlessly productive. Let's dive in. I am so glad that you are here today. While this podcast is focused a lot on existing entrepreneurs, it is topics for people who already have businesses. I wanted to do a special episode today for all of you out there who maybe you have this idea and you have had the thought of this would make a really good business, but you're just not sure. You're not sure of how to turn that into a business. You're not sure if it's a good idea. You're not sure where to begin. And so this episode is for you. Or maybe you already have a brand new business or a new business and you have this idea, this other idea, and you're wondering if you should proceed with that. So let's dive in. Sometimes we are going to have businesses that are born more out of necessity. And my web design business that I started right out of college is a very good example of that. So I had gotten my degree as a web designer. I'm going to date myself here a little bit. So I graduated from college right in the middle of the dot-com crash in the early 2000s. So my intention had been to find a company to hire me to do their web design or work for a web design company. And as I started applying for all these jobs, nobody was hiring, especially somebody who was literally brand new. I had like summer job work experience and intern work experience and in-school work experience, but I had not had a tenured job at that point. So I was definitely not first on their callback list. That is for sure. So I realized very quickly in my job application process and with what was going on in the economy that I was going to have a really hard time finding a web design job that I wanted, and I needed to start bringing in income. I was on my own. I had some debt that I had to pay down, some student loans. And so I decided I was going to start my business. So that was more out of necessity than having this idea that turned into this thing. However, our automotive shop that my husband and I started together, that business was what I am talking about, where we had this idea. So he had a high performance car at the time, and we had taken it to various shops, and we had horrible experiences all across the board. But the biggest thing that we saw was that in this industry, across the board, customer service was absolutely terrible. And we knew that we could do it better. We knew that we could offer our clients an experience unlike anything that they had ever had. So we had this idea, and we knew that we had a unique way of doing it in the industry. And we decided to turn that into a business. So that is what we are going to be focusing on today. You may have come across other podcast episodes or YouTubes. You may have read some books. You might have gotten some advice. And a lot of the time, that advice for starting a new business is going to be things like get your LLC founded and buy insurance and write a business plan. And while those things are very valuable, and I will definitely do some episodes on those. In fact, that is one of my very favorite things to teach inside the life coach certification that I am an instructor in. I love teaching business basics, business startup things. That's not where we're going to be coming from today. We are going to be coming from a life coaching perspective. So how this is going to work today in this episode is I have some questions for you that I would love for you to spend some time thinking about and answering for yourself. And I'm going to explain why I am asking these questions to you. So, are you ready? Let's dive in. So, my first question for you is, what do you want to offer and why is it meaningful to you? Obviously, if we have an idea, we have to figure out from that idea what it is that we want to sell people. Are we selling people a product? Are we selling people a service? What exactly is that offer? So that is one thing. But even more importantly, why is this meaningful? What difference is it that you want to make in the world? And maybe it's something like you're selling a product that is going to put a giant smile on people's faces. Maybe it's going to be a gift that they can give somebody that's going to be meaningful to them. And you get to be a part of that, those memories. Maybe you sell a service where you are helping people lose weight or get stronger or literally transform their lives. Maybe you're helping them in their personal relationships so that they can have a closer bond with their spouse or with their children. There are so many million, bajillion ideas out there. But it's really important for you to tap into why it's meaningful to you. You are going to come across things in your journey as a business owner and as an entrepreneur that are really hard. There are going to be days where you question why you're doing this and whether you should keep going. I remember back in our very early days of the automotive shop, we had times where we were like, what is this even worth it? Should we keep going? Or should we just close our doors and go find other more traditional careers that neither one of us wanted, but that seemed like an easier route? And it would have been an easier route probably. However, all this beauty that we created over the last 20 years, the jobs for our employees, the growth that we have had, the other opportunities that we have had because of sticking with that business, those were extremely important in our lives. And I'm so glad that we had that reason. We had that meaning of why it was important to us to have that business and to keep pushing through those times where we questioned if maybe we should quit. So I need you. I don't say need very often, but I really, truly believe this is a need, is to figure out the meaning to you behind what you are going to be doing. So question number 2, what transformation do you give people? What is it that you are helping them achieve? And again, maybe it's putting that smile on their face. Maybe it's making their life easier. Maybe it's teaching them these steps to have something that you have figured out that you can help them unlock faster. So what is that transformation that they have? And kind of to add on to that, what is it that people want? What part of that transformation is what they really, truly want? And I added that question in because so often this leads directly to the way that you are going to market your services, your offer, your products, and the messaging that you will have around it. So often we talk about all of the features of what it is that we are selling, or the number of classes they will have per month, or the number of calls they will have with you. And we get very stuck on these details, or we get very stuck on the things that we are going to teach within that, the things that we are gifting to people that they will learn. But that's not necessarily what they want right now. It might be important for them to learn that in the long run, but that's not what they are sitting there thinking in their head right now. I want you to think about them sitting there thinking right now, what is it that they want that your offer or your product or your service helps them achieve? Because that is where your marketing and messaging should be focused. There probably are quite a number of things that they want. So that is where all of this beautiful content comes from, because they have many different things that you can talk to them about. So my next question is, what is that transformation worth? What is it worth to them? Not what is it worth to you? What is it worth to them? So often as entrepreneurs, we have our own money limiting beliefs, and we allow those money limiting beliefs to shape what we are charging. And yes, we want to make sure we're charging an amount that we will have customers. However, I think often we forget and we lose ourselves in all of our money limiting beliefs, and we forget about what it is that we are giving people and doing for people. And again, if you have products, those products are going to change their life in some way. If you have services, those services are going to change their life in some way. So what is the value of that transformation? Not necessarily your time that you are putting into it, not necessarily the materials going into a product that you are selling, but what is that end result worth for them? And I also want to throw this little caveat in, something else to think about. The faster that you get them a solution, the more valuable that is. So often we think, oh, well, I have one program that's 6 months and I have another program that gets people the same results in 4 weeks. Which one is more valuable? It's actually not the one that's 6 months long. It's the one that's 4 weeks long. Because I don't know about you, I would much rather spend 4 weeks achieving my goals and being at my destination and ready to take my next steps forward than spending 6 months doing the same thing. So keep that in mind as well as you are thinking about starting your business and turning this idea into something to offer to people. My next question is, where do you want to sell your products? We have so many choices these days. This is not like 50 years ago where you had to have a storefront. We all have storefronts in a way, but are you going to sell these products online? Are you going to have a website where people can buy them? Are you going to be selling them to people one-on-one, literally just through one-on-one conversation? We can sell our services or our products and send people a payment link, and we're good. So are you going to be selling them on social media? Are you going to start a storefront? Are you going to sell things at vendor fairs? There are so many different ideas out there of how we can get our products and our services and our offers out to people. I want you to really spend some time brainstorming on this. Number one, just as a reminder of how many different vehicles we have to get our message out there and to get our products and services out there. But number two, maybe one of those that I mentioned, you were like, oh my gosh, no way, I am not doing that. But another one that got you really excited. And that is important because so often this goes back to the shoulds, right? The shoulds of business. We're told, oh, you should open a storefront. You should sell stuff on social media. If those make you run screaming, but the idea of just having some one-on-one conversations with people to start your business sounds like so much fun, go with that and see where it takes you. If the idea of doing all one-on-one conversation is like, I don't think so, but building a website and offering your stuff on a website and then marketing that website, that gets you excited. Follow that intuition. Follow those little cues. So I want you to spend a little bit of time thinking about that. And again, asking ourselves with life coaching, it's really important to ask ourselves, what are all the ways? Because we don't limit ourselves that way. If we just say, what is one way that I want to sell this? You'll come up with one way and your brain will stop there because that's the question that you asked yourself. However, if you ask yourself, what are all the ways that I could sell this? Suddenly, you're going to start coming up with creative ideas. Maybe it's an idea I didn't mention. Maybe it's an idea that literally nobody has ever thought about. People thought Jeff Bezos was absolutely insane, being like, I'm going to sell books online, on the internet. They're like, what? No, we sell books in bookstores. Look where that ended up. Maybe your idea that comes out of this brainstorm is the next idea like that. So make sure when we're asking ourselves questions in this process that we are asking questions that gets our brain really exploring. And that's part of why I wanted to offer you some of these questions today. So the next thing I want you to think about is, who do you know that does something similar? And the reason I am asking this is I do not want you to go out there and copy them. That is not why I am asking this question. I'm asking this question for a couple of different reasons. One reason that I am asking this is because in business, it is very helpful to have a mentor, to have somebody that you can go ask questions to, because you are going to run into roadblocks and obstacles. Part of why a lot of people do hire business coaches like me, because it's somebody that they can bounce those ideas off of and help work through those obstacles when they come up. However, if you can find somebody, and maybe this is a person that you can use as a mentor where you are asking questions, maybe this is a person who's a mentor from afar, where you are looking at how they are using their content, how they are marketing their services, all the different things that they are offering. Maybe it's going to spark some other ideas in you. So looking at what is working for them, also looking at what is a turn off to you, or you are like, no, I would not do it that way. I would do it a different way. Those lessons are just as important as how you do want to do things or what is working. I think it's also important to ask ourselves a question of, okay, here are the people that are out there, kind of like what we did with our automotive shop. Here are the people that are out there in this business right now. How am I going to be different from them? How am I going to differentiate myself? How is what I am doing special? What spin can I put on this that is going to be a different way of doing things? Because it is important to have, it doesn't have to be a totally different product or service, but it is important to have something that is unique to you. How do you do this in a way that nobody else does? So those are some other really good questions to start to ask yourself. The next question, we are almost done here. I promise. We only have a couple more. So the next question I want you to ask yourself is, what do I not know right now that I need to learn? And this is going to look very different for each and every person listening and watching today. Because some of you have business experience and you're like, oh, like payment processors, setting up a website, like I know all of that. I don't need to learn that. I know how to do that. But then there are some of you listening to this and watching this that are saying, oh my gosh, like when you started talking about how we were going to take payments, I was like, I don't know how to do that. So what are those things that you don't know right now? What are the questions you need to go ask somebody? What is the research you need to do that you need to learn before you put your offer out or in the journey? I'm very much proponent of taking action and figuring out. You're not going to be able to learn the lessons until you start to take the action. But you also, like, there are probably some burning questions in your mind right now. Maybe it is, how do I found a company? What company structure would be best for me? Should I be a sole proprietor or should I be an LLC? I don't even know what those things mean. That's something I need to jot down so that I can go do some research. So spend some time asking yourself that so that you have a targeted list. Because if we don't ask ourselves that and we just start shotgunning stuff all over the place, we are probably going to end up stuck for a variety of reasons. Our brain is going to be telling us in our subconscious, which you're not maybe not even going to be aware of, that you don't have all the information you need. And so it's going to create you stopping or not pursuing a certain direction that you might want to go in. So I can't wait to hear if you would love to drop some feedback on some of that. I would love to hear the feedback on what it is that you need to learn that you don't know right now. If there is something specific, message me, drop it in the comments, because I would love to do some podcast episodes to address your exact things that you want to learn before you take the next step on your entrepreneur journey. So moving on to the next question. 2 questions, and this is going to wrap it up. So what obstacles do you foresee coming up? This is really important. And the reason that I am asking this is because we can do something called solving in advance. So how can you solve in advance for these obstacles? And these are going to be different for each and every one of us. Maybe your obstacle is the idea you have is going to require a large financial investment, and you don't have that financial investment right now. So you need to find a way of getting funding for your idea. How can you solve in advance for that obstacle? Again, ask ourselves these really powerful questions. What are all the ways that you can think of that you could find funding, that you could find investors? Maybe an obstacle is that you work a full-time job and have 3 kids or 6 kids or 20 kids, and you have no idea. You volunteer and your schedule is jam-packed. And right now, your obstacle is, I have this idea, but I don't know how I'm going to find the time or make the time to actually get this off the ground and make it a viable business. How can you solve in advance for that obstacle? What are some things that you can do to alleviate some of that? What is some help that you can go find to make it so you don't have to? Going back to episode 1 of this podcast, what is some help that you can find so you don't have to be the one investing your time? You can have other people invest their time. What are some things that you can automate? Spend some time thinking about these obstacles that might come up in the future or that you foresee being a very real thing very quickly. And then ask yourself, what are all the ways that I can solve in advance for these obstacles? How can I start to tackle this before I run into that roadblock and stop and get stuck? So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I hope this got your wheels turning. I am so excited to hear some feedback from all of you listeners on what your business ideas are, on what you want to learn in order to move that forward, on what from today was helpful, what ideas it sparked in you. And like I said, I would love to do some episodes on all of your guys' answers, but even more importantly, go out there and do it. You have this idea. Go do it. Go give that beauty to the world around you. Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, leave me a review, leave me a comment. I would love to do more episodes if everybody's like, yes, I love episodes for brand new business owners or entrepreneurs or people just getting started. I would love to do more of these for you. So give me some feedback. I cannot wait to catch you next time. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.